Is urging the United States to stop so-called close-in reconnaissance of airspace off China's coast. This follows an encounter between a Chinese jet and a U.S. surveillance plane off China's Hainan island last week. The U.S. says the Chinese aircraft performed dangerous maneuvers, and it accused the pilot of reckless behavior. But China says the real problem is the proximity of U.S. aircraft to its shores. And CCTV's Nathan King is joining us now with the latest on all of this.
Yeah, this is an ongoing armament, but China says reconnaissance flights by the U.S. aircraft undermine Chinese security interests, and it undermines the trust between the two countries. This span also reflects a vast difference in how the two powers interpret U.S. surveillance off China's coast.
It happened last week in the skies above the South China Sea. The U.S. accused a pilot of a Chinese J-11 fighter jet of flying dangerously close to a U.S. Navy Poseidon P-8 surveillance aircraft. China rejected the accusations and is now calling U.S. actions provocative.
那么这一事件的实质是美军飞机
The cause of this incident is the frequent reconnaissance activities by U.S. aircraft very close to China's shores. The U.S. always focuses on technical issues, such as the distance between aircraft during such encounters, but then ignores the basic problem, which is the fact that the U.S. conducts many nearby reconnaissance activities. Such incidents not only harm China's security interests, but also damage the strategic trust and the bilateral relations between China and the U.S.
The U.S. lodged a formal complaint with Beijing and maintains its actions are legal.
We're going to continue to fly in international airspace the way we've been, just like we're going to continue to sail our ships in international waters the way we've been. The United States is a Pacific power. We have responsibilities. 5 of 7 treaty alliances in the Pacific region. We're going to meet those security commitments.
The U.S. maintains that surveillance in international waters is allowed. There is no international law that forbids it. But under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, which covers overflights inside a country's so-called exclusive economic zone, a distance of about 370 kilometers from a nation's coast, there is a caveat. Countries are allowed to enter airspace, but under Article 58 of the treaty, it says states shall have due regard to the rights and duties of the coastal state and shall comply with the laws and regulations adopted by the coastal state in accordance with the provisions of this convention and other rules of international law. And Article 88 reads, the high seas shall be reserved for peaceful purposes only. So the question facing the Chinese military are, has the United States infringed on China's rights by flying too close to its shores, and is it only for peaceful purposes? The incident occurred near Hainan Island, home to military installations, including a key submarine base. Chinese scholars and defense officials argue the U.S. actions are not peaceful. The U.S. State Department has said the reconnaissance over Hainan was transparent and that it had informed China, but China says it never received a warning from the U.S.
It's worth noting here that the US actually hasn't ratified the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, though it does say it abides by the spirit of the law. China, meanwhile, has signed the convention, Mike.
So what's the U.S. saying as far as this argument is concerned?
Well, they actually say that China is allowed to conduct surveillance in a similar manner. In fact, the US says it spotted a Chinese surveillance ship off the coast of Hawaii back in July. And while officials said it was strange, they stressed it was legal. And while these incidents are increasing tensions between the Chinese and the US, there is some optimism. Actually, currently, there are technical discussions going on right here in Washington about a code of conduct on the high seas, including how they communicate between ships and aircraft, what radio channels to use, what language to speak, and so on. First steps that are much needed and hopefully could bear fruit to stop these incidents from happening.
Nathan, thanks so much.